We had a previous video on fostering independence through the environment, but in case you haven't seen it, we'll cover a few key points about independence. Children naturally want to be independent. They take great joy in doing things for themselves, even when they have to struggle to accomplish it. Children also focus on the process of doing something, whereas adults typically focus on the end result. Being able to do things independently creates confident children who can problem solve in difficult situations. Dr. Montessori said, "These words reveal the child's inner needs. Help me to do it alone." So we can help our children most by fostering their independence. This diagram shows the three elements in a child's world that interact to shape them. First, of course, is the child themselves, and then the adults in the child's life, and finally, the environment around the child. In Montessori, we believe that we, as the adults, can only control our own actions and the environment that we prepare for our children. Both of these elements impact the development of the child, but we cannot actually control the child. Therefore, if we want to help our children grow into healthy, confident, and independent adults, we can shift the environment that we provide and our behavior as adults. In this video, we are going to discuss how we can foster independence through our behavior as adults. As adults, many times we instinctively want to help our children. However, we must refrain from stepping in too early, and this can be very difficult at times. However, just because a child is struggling doesn't mean that they need or want our help. Remember that we want to be aware adults. So when we find ourselves wanting to help, we need to ask, why do I want to help? Is it because I don't like to see my child struggle? Maybe it's because this process needs to go faster so that we can get to school on time. We can also ask ourselves, how am I helping? Am I teaching them to do it themselves, or am I just doing it for them? We help our children most when we teach them the skills to be independent. For infants and toddlers, this includes a great deal of modeling and working side by side. If you have an infant or toddler, I strongly encourage you to watch the video called The Journey to Independence at Montessori.org, which is also shared on the Montessori Collective Facebook page and website. As children get a little older and are walking, we can teach them skills more explicitly. First, we have to break down the skills into the small, discrete steps. We have to be very explicit with each step because sometimes we assume that children know what to do, but they may not. Then we demonstrate the steps slowly and intentionally. We also want to do these lessons with very little talking because when we speak, children watch our mouths rather than our hands. We can add language later to foster their language development. But when we want children to focus on what we are doing, we need to stay silent and simply say, "Watch me." For example, if we wanted to teach a child to get dressed on their own, we would first need to teach them to open the dresser drawer, then how to pick out each article of clothing. Where are the shirts kept? Where are the pants? Then how to lay the clothes on the floor, and then how to put on each article of clothing. Each of these would be a separate lesson, and we would only do one step at a time. So first, we would just teach the child to open the drawer. Once the child had mastered that, perhaps several days later, we would teach them how to pick out each piece of clothing and let them practice for several more days until they had mastered that. And then we would move on to the next step. Intentionally teaching children skills to be independent is a critical step in helping them become self-sufficient and confident adults. When we do need to help children, we can be intentional about the ways we help. For example, we can sit behind children when we help them put on their shoes. This way it feels more collaborative and the child can see what we are doing. We can also focus on doing things with the child rather than for them. For example, if there is a very large water spill that the child can't clean up by themselves, we can clean it up side by side. We can also name why we are helping the child. For example, if a child is trying to put a plate on the counter but can't reach, we could say, "The counter is very high. Let's put the plate on the counter together." Follow Montessori Collective on Facebook and YouTube for more videos and content about child development and how we as parents can foster our children's potential.